Good morning to all my friends and family, and most welcome to this episode of my Greek Orthodox Odyssey, a channel dedicated to spreading the Word of God, where I take the lessons that I've learned from Elder Nectarios, Yeron Nectarios, who's an abbot of a monastery in Greece, and believe it or not, has his own dedicated YouTube channel that is approved and validated by the Greek Orthodox Church. So whatever material he has on his channel is something that has been approved by the Greek Orthodox Church. So what I try and do is I try and take the material that he presents, and he's got a lot of material. He's got well over 1,000 videos now, not quite as many videos as I have on my channel, but in an impressive amount, to say the least, and one of the most influential Greek Orthodox priests in the world, through his YouTube channel, where he has about 200,000 or more followers. You know, to be honest with you, I would have expected him to be in the millions, but sadly, if you're an influencer and a Christian at the same time, then you don't seem to have as many followers and as much traction as what somebody else would have. But that's the world that we live in. But if you are interested, his videos, his vlogs are in Greek, and what I am able to do is I'm able to, with my broken Greek, interpret what he's saying, translate it into English, and to present it as best that I can. So the message for today is where we contemplate and talk about when the resurrection occurred. Did it occur at 9 p.m? Did it occur at 12 p.m? Did it occur at some other time throughout the day? And what Yeron Nectarios tells us is that nobody really knows the exact moment of the resurrection, and the date of the resurrection. Nobody really knows the exact date and time of Jesus' birth. Nobody knows the exact time and date of Jesus' baptism. And there are many, versions or interpretations that have existed over time in the early church. And what Yeron Nectarios says is that because God is outside of time, from God's perspective, it's irrelevant whether or not we get the timing exactly right. It's more about the teachings, it's more about the co-celebration, the commemoration of these events. And what has happened over time is that the church has taken a position and decided when and how to celebrate these biblical, these spiritual moments. And via consensus within the church, agreement has been made to enjoy and to celebrate these moments. And what the church has done, in all its wisdom, is that it's decided to spread out these events throughout the liturgical year, throughout the church year, so that they are spaced out and that we have a standard operating environment, that we have Easter in April or May, and we have Christmas in December. We have Dispanagias in August, and the Transfiguration in August. And a lot of these feasts are spread out throughout the year, and they try and keep it within a specific sort of sequence, so that it's logical in its expression. But it's the church. The church has decided how and when these events are to be celebrated, and it's not an exact science. So it's important to understand that. So Hieron Nectarios talks to us here about other concepts like the second coming, and he says, once again, nobody knows when the second coming is going to happen, but what we do know from the scriptures, from church tradition, is that at the second coming, all people who have died, regardless of how they died, will be reunited with their bodies. Their body and soul will be reunited and become one, so that all who will be judged will present themselves with both their body and soul. And Hieron Nectarios says that the bones will connect, followed by the nerves, the skin, the organs, the blood, etc. And while it all seems quite strange and surreal to even think about these sorts of things, it happens all the time in nature. Just like when you cut your skin, when you cut yourself, sooner or later it heals and it disappears without even a scar. And you say to yourself, how did that happen? There was a cut there, there was a graze there that was really, really bad, painful, pussy, and yet, over time, it just heals, it repairs, and it becomes just like new. And similarly, we see now in springtime that the perennial trees, the trees that looked dead during the winter months and autumn, where they shed their leaves and just looked like they'd completely died, in fact were in hibernation. And come this time of year, they start to grow back their leaves, they become green, and they look alive and well again. And what the author here is suggesting and saying, what Hieron Nectarios is saying from a biblical and from a Christian perspective, is that the same is going to happen to our bodies. They're going to become new again, but unlike before, unlike they were, and unlike we currently have, our bodies are not going to be of a perishable type, they're going to be imperishable. So the body that is resurrected and made anew again is going to be imperishable. So we won't have disease, we won't have pain, we won't have suffering. It'll be a new body made of elements that are indestructible. So just moving on here, I guess the question is, and the thing that I learnt years ago, which was really, really amazing, now when does the day actually start? When does Monday start? And today is Monday, the first day of the work week. And what we're saying here is that according to Jewish tradition and according to Christian tradition, the day starts after sunset after sundown the previous night, for example. So when the sun goes down and you can see the first 3 stars in the sky, that is considered the beginning of a new day. So whereas these days, when we're using Greenwich Mean Time, a new day seems to be after midnight, and a lot of people seem to think that the day starts just after midnight. But from a Christian perspective, Christians have always celebrated the new day as being just after sundown. That's why the church has Esperino, which is a service which commences around about 6 p.m. at night, and that's the first service of the day. And similarly, when we look at the biblical events of Jesus's passions and his death, his burial, and his resurrection, we know from a spiritual perspective that Jesus resurrected on the 3rd day. He didn't resurrect after 3 days. He resurrected on the 3rd day. So just looking back at how it all works, and understanding that the church day starts just after sunset. From the church's perspective, Jesus died at 3 p.m. on Friday, was taken down from the cross and buried before 6 p.m, before the beginning of the Sabbath, before Saturday commenced. So that means he died on the Friday and he resurrected on the Sunday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the church counts the day that somebody dies as the first day. So Friday, even though it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Friday 3 p.m. represents the first day. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Sunday, as we know, commences just after 6 p.m. on Saturday. So when the sun goes down and you can see the first 3 stars in the sky, that represents the first day. The first day, the new day. And for that reason, the Greek Orthodox, for example, celebrate Easter, the resurrection, on Sunday, the Resurrection Sunday. But we have a church service, a Mass, that comes to a climax at 12 midnight. And why would you say 12 midnight? Well, the canons of the church basically say that you can celebrate Easter any time on Sunday after 6 p.m. And there are places in Greece, there are villages in Greece, where a priest has to go to a number of different villages, and he will potentially have a couple of different services. But traditionally the Greeks do it at 6 p.m, and the reason why, at 12 p.m 12 p.m. at midnight. So it is different, and so it is special. The Greek Orthodox celebrate Christmas at 6 a.m. on Christmas Day, on the 25th of December. And these are canons, these are rules that the church has instituted and don't have anything to do with any scientific or anything else other than the agreement between the bishops of the church to do it this way, so that there is concurrence amongst the churches, and there is an agreement, and there's a standard operating environment that everybody follows, and you can join and unite generation to generation, community to community across the world, so that everybody understands how and when these events are celebrated. The other thing also is, one of the reasons why we do it at midnight is that we know that Jesus died on the cross at 3 p.m. So if you take the hours from 3 p.m. to 12 a.m., so if Jesus died at 3 p.m. on the Friday and we celebrate the resurrection at 12 a.m. on Saturday night, or which is Sunday within the church context, it represents that Jesus was in Hades, was preaching in Hades and doing what he was doing in Hades for 33 hours. So he was dead or absent for 33 hours, which represents the number of years of his life. That number of 33 is really symbolic within the Greek Orthodox Church. And Saint Nicodemus basically decreed many years ago to celebrate the resurrection at 12 midnight in order to honour those 33 hours. The other thing we need to understand as well is that the church has certain canons and certain rules, and one of the key rules is that you can only do a liturgy and have communion once the same day, so you can't do more than one service. That's why the Greek Orthodox don't do a Greek sermon or a Greek liturgy and an English liturgy on the same day in the same church. You can only do it once a day. You can only commune once a day. And the day, as we mentioned, starts at Esperinos, which is 6 p.m. And as I said before, the synodical membership and agreement say that the resurrection can be, if need be, celebrated after 6 p.m. on the Saturday night, which technically is the beginning of Sunday within the church context. And finally, just a reminder that God is outside of time and space, and it's only us humans who are constrained by time and space, and that's why we tend to get fixated and obsess about the exact time and the exact place, whereas, as we say within the church context, it's not as relevant. What's more relevant is celebrating and co-celebrating these events to honour the biblical significance of what has happened, and to be obedient. One of the greatest things within the Orthodox Church is to be obedient and not to be arrogant, not to think that you know better than everybody else. It's the church's job, it's the church's responsibility and duty to instruct and teach us, and it's up to us to simply follow what has been handed to us, and to do it with humility and joy. Anyway, take care everybody. Wishing everybody a happy Monday, a happy start to the work week. Today my granddaughter is going to be christened Panayota and nicknamed Poppy, will be coming home with her mother and father from hospital, and I just can't wait to see her. I haven't had a chance to see her because both Paula and I, as well as my eldest granddaughter Annabelle, have been a little sick with a bit of a lingering cough, and because of the circumstances of my youngest daughter Artemis's pregnancy and the challenges that she faced over and over again, we have decided to be responsible and dutiful and not to go and visit her in the hospital, but to wait until she comes home, to wait until we're much better so that we minimise any risk. Anyway, Doxa tau Theo, glory to God, and may we all have a healthy and safe week. Gεια σας, take care, and bye for now.